in one of the best first halves for an Oakland A's starter, Bartolo Colon looks to add to his already impressive resume today. Colon was named to his third career All-Star team, and he will be representing the green and gold as the oldest All-Star in athletics history. Over his last 10 starts, the savvy vet has been remarkable, going 9-1 with a 1.48 ERA and pulling within one of the lead for most victories in the big leagues. The All-Star will be put to the test today as he takes on the Red Sox in the final game before the break. It's the A's and the Sox next. Beautiful day for baseball in Oakland, and it is also Hyundai Sunday here in Comcast Sportsnet California, brought to you by your Bay Area Hyundai dealers. It's the Red Sox and the Athletics, rubber game of the series, and we're also wrapping up the first half of this 2013 season. It has been a good one for Bartolo Colon and the A's, and Colon looking for his 13th win this afternoon, and he'll try to do it against these Red Sox. You'll see the game right here again on CSN California. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. You just saw Bartolo Colon, 12 wins, and Ray, a couple of shutouts, and one of those shutouts was in Boston. It was a 7-inning shutout, bad weather, but he was very good that night.
Are you sure he's 40?
He's 40, and it was cold that night.
He's not pitching like a 40-year-old. But what he did in Boston, he got a big lead. The one thing about Bartolo Colon, when he has a lead, he knows how to pitch, and he showed it that night in Boston. It was cold, but he got an early lead. He just kept throwing fastball after fastball, which he normally does. Struck out 7 batters, but that night it was a cold night, but he felt like it was a warm night because he did get the run support. Just kind of indicative of the way he has pitched the first half of the season, as he has 12 wins, nothing bigger than that one, starting in Boston on a very cold night in April.
Now, when you have the second best record in the American League, obviously you have guys having good years, but I don't think there's any question that the offensive MVP for the A's this year so far is the third baseman.
And a lot of people keep thinking this might be a career year. I think for Josh Donaldson, it's the beginning of great things to happen. He does it with the bat. He thinks he could have hit 4 more home runs, as he's just missed some pitches this past week. He has 15 on the season, not a bad first half, but his defense has been spectacular as well. What he has done at third base, especially his strong arm, he makes a perfect throw to second base, and whenever he gets to the ball, he normally is going to throw out the hitter, as he does there, going almost to foul territory. Just a phenomenal first half for Josh Donaldson, and I think it's just going to continue, where he's going to have a great second half, and this really is just the beginning of a former catcher becoming a great third baseman at Major League level.
All right, so rubber game of the series, and a good way to head into the All-Star break. Take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox, the team that has the best record in the American League. The A's will try to do that behind their All-Star Bartolo Colon today. Lineups and first pitch when we come back to the Coliseum. Sunday afternoon baseball from Oakland. Stick around.
Southern California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger.
Crowd still filing in. Should be another nice crowd on a beautiful Sunday afternoon at the O.K. Coliseum. Rubber game of the series between the Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox. Bartolo Colon in the Athletics taking the field, the All-Star. So he's going to try to get a win today, and then he will head to New York City, represent the Athletics. Game time weather today, presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. 66 degrees, just a light breeze. Not a cloud in the sky. So the A's with a one-game lead in the AL West heading into the All-Star break, with this game yet to play. Red Sox in first place in the AL East by 3.5 over Tampa Bay. So two first-place teams squaring off. And here's the Red Sox lineup. Ellsbury, Nava, Pedroia, Ortiz, Gomes, Carp, Lavarnway, Holt, and Iglesias.
And Bartolo Colon, after winning 8 straight games, lost a game against the Cubs. Not a lot of run support, but bounced back in the last start against the Pirates and won the 2-1 game in Pittsburgh. So Bartolo, second start against the Red Sox this season. Of course, the shutout in 7 innings back in Boston. That was in the early part of the season, 23rd of April. Bartolo looking for win number 13 in the final game before the break.
Playing behind Colon today, A's defense lines up like this. Cespedes, Crisp, and Reddick in the outfield. Donaldson, Lowry, Sogard, Moss on the infield, and Jaso is the catcher. So Jacoby Ellsbury steps in, and we are set for baseball from the Coliseum. Bartolo Colon looking for win number 13 on the year. First pitch of the ball game is on the outside corner for a strike.
First pitch, 1-0.
Todd Tishner's calling balls and strikes today. Malinsky at first, Miller at second, Amari at third. Ellsbury hitting .301 with 3 homers, 33 RBIs, and he's 0 for 8 in the series.
Red Sox, pretty good club at taking a lot of pitches, but I think with the pitching of Bartolo Colon where he's around the plate, might see a little bit more aggressiveness today.
It's not like Colon, well, for the most part, he's got good control. Once in a while, he gets a little wild. That's not the case at all.
No.
He is always going to throw strikes.
If he's wild, it's intentional.
That's right.
He will walk somebody because he doesn't want to face them, and we don't know who that person may be in the lineup for the Red Sox today. He also wants an elevated fastball. I think Bartolo, because teams know that he is around the plate, he's smart enough to know that early in the game that he may change his whole pitching pattern based on what he thinks the other team is looking for.
Ellsbury rips one toward right, and that's going to be a base hit. So Jacoby Ellsbury has his first hit in the series. So he's the catalyst for the Red Sox.
Not a location that Bartolo Colon wanted. He wanted it away, left it right in the middle of the plate at about waist high. And that is a pretty good pitcher's or hitters ought to be able to hit as hard as he did.
Well, no secret what's up now. You have to keep an eye on Ellsbury. He is a terrific base stealer. He leads the American League in that category and leads it by a lot. First pitch is in for a strike to Daniel Nava. Ellsbury has 36 steals. The next closest is Rajay Davis with 24.
And after the first pitch, I'm sure the stopwatch said don't go, because Bartolo was very quick to the plate, slide step, got rid of it, and it really helps the catcher if there is help. As many fastballs as Bartolo throws, that should help the catcher get a pretty good pitch to throw.
Bounce slowly. Sogard, tag, throw to first, and it got him. Heck of a play by Sogard, and that's a double play.
Well, it just so happened the speed of Ellsbury got to Sogard about the time he caught the ball. What a Great play by Sogard, charging the ball, getting in the line of Ellsbury, who tried to avoid him, could not. Made a tag with a glove, transferred into the hand, and that is a great double play turn by Eric Sogard, especially with the transfer. He tagged him there, transferred the ball into his throwing hand, quickly got rid of it, and over to Brandon Moss. By the way, he's got the nice socks on today, too, huh?
Giving it a shot.
Wow. Yeah, that's maybe the new look Oakland A's with Reddick. With Chris Young last night. And now Sogard.
And quickly 0-2 to Dustin Pedroia.
See why he's got him on again today. Why not? Some of the former Athletics back a while. Very, very pleased. We had to wear them. Had no choice. That is a huge double play, especially as you mentioned with Ellsbury's threat to steal. Get him off the bases quickly.
Pedroia hitting .315 with 6 home runs.
One of the reasons he has success is that last pitch. That's a pitcher's pitch, outside part of the plate. He knew it was a strike, knew he couldn't do much with it except foul it and try to get another shot.
He was 2 for 4 on Friday, 0 for 4 last night. Another foul, shoots it to the right side. Ortiz would be next, just underway here from the O.co Coliseum. Fastball well off the plate, 1-2. Red Sox are 58-38, as we said, a 3.5 game lead in the East. The A's winning last night. That stopped a 4-game winning streak for the Red Sox. Hit hard, but foul. They're 27-22 on the road. The final matchup between these two teams. Red Sox have won 3 of the 5 games played so far against the Athletics. A jam shot, fisted right up over the Red Sox dugout.
Figured they'd eventually try to go inside, which they did on the last pitch, but kept fouling it off. Started the count 0-2. One pitch way off the plate outside, but he's fouled 5. And very good Cologne pitches, but Pedroia keeps fouling.
So another 1-2 to Pedroia, and he hits one hard into left center field for a base hit. And Pedroia's going to try for 2. Here comes the throw, and it is late. That's a heck of an effort by Dustin Pedroia. I was watching him, Ray, and he was running 100% about 5 feet out of the box, and he never stopped.
Well, with 2 outs, he knew getting into scoring position for Big Poppy would be a big help. Got a slider and towards the gap in left center, and he knew also that if Coco fielded the ball, he does not have a particularly strong arm, and it was going to be probably an easy way for him to get into scoring position with a double. And he does it. Throws there, but a little bit late. And as a result, the hustle by Pedroia and a great at bat gets him into scoring position for this man, Big Poppy.
First pitch in there for a strike.
Well, it's close, but Pedroia had it easily. See the pebbles of the ground, the dirt popping up, but it's a hustle double. Not surprising to see Pedroia making the play.
Exmo brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. Ortiz fouls it back, so Cologne ahead in the count 0-2. .322, 19 home runs, 65 RBIs for David Ortiz. Strike three called, a fastball on the inside corner. Good pitching by Bartolo Colon, gets a double play and a strikeout, and the Red Sox do not score. Here in the bottom of the first, and it'll start with Coco Crisp, being followed by Jaso, Donaldson, Lowry, Cespedes, Reddick, Moss, Smith, and Sogard.
And for the first time in his career, this young man makes his first major league start. Brandon Workman, he's 6'5", throws hard, mid-90s fastball, pretty good curveball, and look at the numbers for AA and AAA. He made his first major league appearance in Seattle on this road trip, and gets the start this afternoon here at the Coliseum in the final game before the All-Star break. So Brandon Workman.
Defensively for the Red Sox, our old friend Johnny Gomes is in left, Ellsbury in center, Nava in right. Holt, Iglesias, Pedroia, Carp on the infield, Ryan Lavarnway. So Carp in there, Lavarnway in there, Gomes in there. Guys who we have not seen in this series yet, but they're in there today.
John Farrell, I'm sure, as most managers, on a day game after a night game, going into the break and utilizing his bench. Johnny Gomes, of course, happy because a big crew from Petaluma in town to watch this weekend series, and more special today, watch their favorite son play.
Brandon Workman's first pitch in his first start as a big leaguer is a strike. So Brandon Workman.
Yeah, the tall pitcher has Jerry Remy, broadcaster for the Red Sox, had a good curveball, a good fastball. Rim dog. You ever had a rim dog in Boston?
No.
You got to have them sometime when we go back. Let's see what a rim dog is.
I agree. Let's do it next year.
Yeah. There's the former second baseman, Jerry Remy, longtime broadcaster for the Red Sox. He has his own hot dog, the rim dog.
Pitch is high. Two pitch. Slap foul. Now Workman, as Ray said, is a big kid. 6'5", 225 pounds. And he went to the University of Texas. Second-round pick in 2010, so he did not spend a whole lot of time in the minor leagues. You saw his numbers this year. Last year, he was the Red Sox minor league pitcher of the year.
Get a power arm in the minor leagues, get in the big leagues if there is room available.
Free call. Looks like Coco knew it is. He took a step toward the dugout before Todd Tishner made the final call, but indeed it was a strike.
Look where Coco's and the target was set up outside, and Lavarnway kept the ball in the strike zone for Todd Tishner, and put a good pitch on the inside part of the plate when Coco was looking outside, but he knew it. Shaking its head in confirmation of the pitch, the location.
Jaso goes after the first pitch and rolls it foul.
So much for the breaking ball. He's throwing off fastballs.
We're waiting for that good breaking ball.
Started crisp 0-1. Did not throw anything but fastballs. Same with Jason.
That one drilled to left field, but Gomes is there, and he's got it for out number 2. So that'll bring up Donaldson.
Batting in third position, third baseman, number 20, Josh Donaldson.
A game in Detroit just went final, and Tigers helping out the A's. Tigers 5, Rangers nothing. Verlander got the win, and the Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Rangers. So the A's right now with a game-and-a-half lead in the West. Verlander had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning in that game.
Well, he thinks he's going to pass Nolan Ryan for the most no-hitters.
I like that.
Yeah, he thinks he has a chance every time he goes out. I don't know if he's throwing as hard he did in the past, but he also holds it in reserve in the tank to throw a little bit extra when he needs it.
That one bounced toward the third baseman, Brock Holt. Side retired. So Workman has a 3-up, 3-down inning in his first major league start. We're scoreless after 1. Thought it was probably going to happen, and it has. Grant Balfour has been named to the American League All-Star team. He is replacing Bartolo Colon, who is pitching today. So there was some rumors that this could happen, and it has. So congratulations to Grant Balfour, very well deserved, and it took a little longer than we had hoped, a longer wait for Grant, but I think he may have had an idea that something was up.
I'd say that there's a pretty good chance that maybe you have to make some plans, because you find out Sunday at about 1:15 local time, and you got to get to New York tonight. So that's, but you know, a lot of times you can just hope, and hope was there, very deserving. And you know, as the old saying goes, he's the best closer in baseball because he hasn't blown a save. And how can you not name him to the All-Star team? Johnny Gomes thinks he's an All-Star, having played with him last year. Gomes now with these Red Sox.
And he rips one headed for the left field corner. And Gomes is going to dig for second, and he's going to have a double. So Gomes his first at bat in this series, and it's a leadoff two-bagger.
Johnny always aggressive, and Johnny also got a fastball to hit after first pitch strike. That Bartolo Colon, and anybody knows what he's going to throw, Johnny Gomes would, having watched him last year. And just the fastball again, the location not where he wanted it. The best pitch he's thrown so far is the fastball inside to David Ortiz, the strikeout last inning. But he's elevating a few fastballs.
And there's a line shot right into the glove of Lowry. So Mike Carp not waiting around. He hits a bullet, but Lowry was right there.
Batting in the seventh position, the catcher.
He didn't wait around, but he also didn't really make a great attempt to pull the ball, which Red Sox were hoping he might try to do that to advance Gomes.
So here is Ryan Lavarnway. So Ray, with Balfour in taking Colon's spot, there was also a replacement named today for Verlander, and that's Chris Tillman, starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. Haven't heard a lot about him, but he's 11-3.
Yeah.
So there was 3 replacements that were going to be named today because of Colon starting, Verlander starting, Iwakuma starting. So those 3 guys will not pitch. So we know Balfour is one of them. Tillman is the other. And I'm kind of waiting on Iwakuma. And it sounds now like they have named somebody. It's Greg Holland, the closer for
Starter or Greg? No, for Kansas City.
Royals, yeah.
I was thinking of Holland with Texas.
And Greg Holland's having a very good year. So that's it. Tillman in, Balfour in, Holland in. So those are the 3 replacements. So once Iwakuma and Colon threw their first pitches today, then the replacements could be named. Slowly hit. Donaldson flips to first, and Lavarnway's out. Going to third is Gomes, and that's out number 2.
That's pretty for Jim Leyland to have 2 quality closers in Balfour and Holland. That's pretty good. Back end of the game is Josh Donaldson. This is a very good play. Cuddy in front of Jed Lowry. The ball hit very slowly, and Lavarnway not able to run that fast. And excellent play by Josh.
So here's Brock Holt. There's a couple replacements that have been named in the National League. Mark Melanson, the setup man for the Pirates, is going in place of Jeff Locke, and Sergio Romo from the Giants is going in place of Jordan Zimmerman. So 2 added All-Stars there. A 1-1 the count to Holt, with Gomes at third, 2 outs.
Right over the top with a 4-seam fastball, and just threw it by Holt, who Friday night had a big game, especially with his opposite field 2-run single in the second inning on a 3-2 fastball.
Up and away. Another ball, 3-1. On deck is Jose Iglesias. And it's probably the case for Cologne's pitching careful.
Well, this pitch will determine that because he does have a 3-1 count. First and second bases are open. Right in the on-deck circle. Fastball inside. Two-seamer.
Hit well to center, but Coco gets back. Squares up. He's got it. Side retired. So a leadoff double for Johnny Gomes, but the Red Sox 2-0 with it. Bottom of the second coming up. A.J. Griffin was great. He threw 8 innings of shutout baseball, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts, 110 pitches, and he picked up his 8th win of the season. And when Red Sox got runners on, he made some big pitches, as good pitchers usually do, and that was the case.
And he was pleading to go to the 9th. He wanted another shutout. And he said, no, if he has scored another run, maybe. It would have been a non-safe situation. He would have had an opportunity to go out. But he wanted it. 110 pitches. But he would like to have gotten another shutout. But he takes the win anyway with a team shutout. There's a good curveball, but out of the strike zone.
Lowry, Cespedes, and Reddick here in the second. Lowry hitting in the cleanup spot. Got to keep those babies clean.
They're not photo grays. They don't go to dark. They're just straight on, straight glasses.
2-2 now to Lowry. Swing, ain't gonna miss. So that's the second strikeout for Brandon Workman.
Got it by Tech. The A's hitters is Jed Lowry with a high breaking ball, high slider, swinging through it. It may take the hitters to see this young man firsthand for the first time and see what happens after that. But first 4 batters have done nothing. A couple of strikeouts.
First pitch to Cespedes is a fastball for a strike. Home Run Derby tomorrow at Citi Field. So we'll be rooting for you on Cespedes.
Hope he's not tired traveling across the country and losing 3 hours.
Could be. Foul territory. Lavarnway shading his eyes. The catcher. He's got it for up and a 2. So 5 up, 5 down so far for Workman in his first major league start. And here's Reddick.
Batting in the 6th position, right fielder, number 16, Josh Reddick.
Reddick hitting .222 with 4 homers, 32 RBIs. A couple of hits in this series and a walk. So you've said this a lot, Ray. This is one of those games where make sure guys are not thinking about where they're headed after the game.
That's right.
It's probably only natural. You look ahead a little bit, but
to realize that it's the biggest game of the year, because it's easy just to say, in case of the A's, they have assured themselves of being in first place because the Rangers have already left. The A's lost. The A's a 1-game lead, but they should be looking at a chance to make it a 2-game lead, get in the break, and be able to enjoy the 4 days before resuming play on Friday night. But this is a big game. I think anytime you win a division, as the A's did by 1 game, you can look over the course of a season by so many 1 games, one game that was won or lost and could have made a difference. I'm sure the Rangers have a whole bunch that Ron Washington can look at and say, man, if we'd have won that one or this one, we wouldn't have to worry about the final game of the season.
Outside corner strike. First time since 1990. The A's will finish the first half in sole possession of first place.
Yeah, that season they went to the World Series. Unfortunately, the result was not what the A's wanted, but at least they got to the World Series.
I'm just looking at the standings from last year, right? The Orioles finished 2 behind the Yankees in the East. Do you think the Orioles couldn't dig up a couple games that they felt like they really should have won?
Yeah, over the course of 162 games, there is a whole bunch that you throw away in the early part of the season by saying that doesn't mean anything. They all mean something.
That's exactly right. Good start so far for Workman as he picks up his 3rd strikeout. Headed to the 3rd, no score.
I guess we'll tell you about that in a moment. Right now, we're going to tell you it's no score.
I'm not quite ready to turn back the clock just yet.
I think they want to try to win this game first, but we'll go back to 6-9 pretty soon.
First pitch up and in to Jose Iglesias. He'll be followed by Ellsbury and then Nava. Nice strike call. 1-1. 375 with a homer and 16 RBIs for the young shortstop. All decked out today. Gold hat, gold top.
Just needs a foam hand or a foam #1 to go with a foam hat. I mean, he's got foam all over.
His drink is gold. Pink bag doesn't really fit that well, but it's okay.
Must be the most interesting thing. That was a pretty good pitch. I don't know what Todd Tishner didn't like about the 1 and 2 fastball to Iglesias.
Tap toward Lowry, who charges, throws on the run, and that's out #1.
All right, Kite, we're going to turn it back.
I'm ready now.
Now we can turn back the clock to 1969 when the A's host the Angels. Saturday, July the 27th. 10,000 fans will receive an Oaklandish throwback T-shirt. It's presented by Tribune Tavern. The event will feature music and fashion from the 1960s, and both teams will wear throwback uniforms from the era. For more information and tickets, call 877-493-BALL or visit oaklandathletics.com/1969. Oh, that'll be fun. You get the old. I can't wait to see what Steve Luschnick's going to come out with uniforms. You know they're going to be the good ones. Probably be the vest, the sleeveless. I think you look great in one of them too.
I'd like to have one of those vests.
Put your name on the back. What number would you be? 1? Number 1?
Well, you're my favorite player. You were 10, so I'd probably go with 10.
No, but see, you wear number 1. They could say,
yeah, right.
1 on the back, number 1 in your heart.
Yeah, sure. So I always joke with people when they put their initials in 1 as their license plate. It's like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you think you're number 1?
You think you'd put 10 because you're 10, right? But not a 1 of 10.
1 and 2 to Ellsbury. Nava will be next.
Wow.
Looked like pretty good pitches. Strikes yesterday, balls today.
Last night, forget it. Ring them up. Mari, that would have been a strike. And this is the angle again, and that is a strike, folks. At least it should have been called.
Lined toward Reddick. He's right there, and he's got it. At number 2.
Now it's the time for John Jaso, and probably do it with his back to home plate umpire. Now he turns around, but just to kind of inquire, because there are 2 pitches in this inning. You got to be wondering, what is your strike zone? Why are those not called strikes? But maybe an adjustment has to be made by Jaso. As a result, you don't want to make too much of an adjustment and give too much to the plate with a fastball.
Now, would an umpire ever say, you know what, it was a strike?
Yes.
I missed it.
Yes. Head guys do that. Umpires have done that. But you try to establish the strike zone. And Friday night when Bill Miller took over for C.B. Buckner, I was talking to Bill today, and you know, he said that's quite an adjustment when you are on the bases and then you have to go in and change. And the one thing he said, remember we were joking, I said, does he get 8 pitches? And he said, I didn't see 1 pitch until the first pitch was thrown by the pitcher Parker. And so that's definitely an adjustment for an umpire.
Long run for everybody involved, and it's Donaldson who went for the barehanded catch, and it popped off his hand.
He looked in his glove, but you tried with the bare hand, but that's the only play he had, and really he was the only one that was going to get to it. He looked up to see where Cespedes was and then reached back, and he tried.
Got a hand on it.
Yes, he did. Bet it hurt, too. Got him right on the palm, couldn't close his hand quickly enough.
Now the shift is on, so that tells you how far Donaldson had to go. Cespedes was not going to get to it.
Is it Kevin Made a play down the left field line.
Kevin Mitchell.
Yeah, went in.
Reached up last minute.
Just very casually, as if he knew that's the way he was going to make the play all the way.
2-2 now to Nava, who hit into a 4-3 double play in the first inning. Right side, Moss ranging far to his right, throws to Colon, led him perfectly. Side retired. 6 in a row retired by Bartola Colon. Bottom of the third coming up.
Community Fund Bowling Bash, sponsored in part by Budweiser. The Bowling Bash takes place on Saturday, August the 3rd at Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl in Dublin. Sponsorships are available now. Proceeds benefit the A's Community Fund. To become a sponsor or for more information on the Community Fund Bowling Bash, you can visit oaklandathletics.com or call 510-638-4900, extension 2241. What a beautiful sight. Mount Diablo. Yeah. Shining.
Moss, Smith, and Sogard, bottom 3 in the order for the A's against Brandon Workman, who has retired the first 6. The Mariners and the Angels are underway in Seattle. Blanton and Iwakuma. The Mariners are going for the sweep of the Angels, and they have jumped out to a 2-0 lead. A 2-run homer by Michael Saunders for the Mariners off of Blanton. So Seattle 2, Angels nothing in the third. So the Angels limp into the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's not good because they had a run, and we had talked about the nice run they had, winning to sustain that, to get back to 500. It's still so remarkable what the A's did last year to be 13 behind, just as Bob Melvin said, let's get to the 500 mark and we'll take off from there and see what happens. But everybody knows that in a long season, the 500 mark is the most important, and then you see what happens.
Shift was on. Iglesias, the shortstop, a very nice play. Oh, he is smooth at short, isn't he, right?
Yes, he is. And I think that's something that the Red Sox are seeing a lot of this young man. If he can hit a little bit, they've always thought he could play shortstop, and he's shown it in this series.
Games versus teams above 500 for the A's after the All-Star break, 24. Below 500, 33. So at least from are the teams you're playing having good years or bad years? The second half schedule looks favorable for the Athletics. We shall see. I know coming out of the break, 7 of 10 against the Angels. 3 in Anaheim, and then 3 in Houston, and then 4 versus the Angels here. So,
and you know what the Angels are thinking, especially with the A's currently in first place.
yeah, here's our best shot.
That's it. The A's, at least the word is the decision has not been made how the rotation will start the second half. I mean, you could look at Bartolo Colon pitching today. He could pitch Sunday, or Friday, that is, after this being Sunday, 5 days. But since he's not pitching the All-Star game, he would have the full time. But we'll have to see, because once Friday begins, then they would get all 5 in the rotation, the 5th being probably Dan Strada coming back from Sacramento.
Seth Smith hits one high. Foul. Shift was on, so Iglesias loses it, and the Sun has almost hit him. Again,
almost got hit.
Running all the way from that shortstop spot. He got there, but right when he came to a stop, he bailed out, and it did. It almost hit him.
The long run, and he had it, and his actually speed got him to the ball, but then could not find it, and look how close it came to hitting him. Almost hit him in the back. If you're going to turn around, you better run instead of standing there, because the ball can find you. But it didn't. Fortunately for him, he was waiting. But that's the scouting report. Tough sun in Oakland. Left side of the infield and the outfield.
Another foul ball left side. This one into the seats. So the count 2-2. Sogard will be next. Fastball inside, and Smith got a piece.
Still amazing to me to see the shift that the Red Sox have been using quite often, kind of a triangle between the second and I guess it would be the third baseman. But that is an unbelievable shift. That very small window. The guy throwing 93, 96 miles per hour with a fastball.
Driven to center, hit well. Ellsbury's back, shading his eyes. Warning track. He's got it for out number 2.
That's the old sign there of a ball that sounds great coming off the bat, but unfortunately just did not go anywhere.
Number 28, Eric Sogard.
There's a 4-seam fastball on a 3-2 pitch. He just reared back to it down the middle and said, hit it as far as you can. Forget about the shift. Seth Smith just got under it a little bit too much. Couldn't pull it. Lavarnway, his catcher, set up in the middle of the plate.
First pitch to Sogard, in for a strike. Sogard was in the starting lineup on Friday night. It's this one right at Pedroia. Side retired, 9 up, 9 down for Brandon Workman, and we're on to the 4th inning. No score. Sportsnet California is brought to you by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. GoPro, be a hero. No score. It is the top of the fourth inning. A's Red Sox wrapping up the first half of the season. Not the first half by amount of games played, of course. All-Star break is usually considered breaking point between first half and second half. And for the A's, this is game number 95. Pedroia, Ortiz, and Gomes. Shallow right center. Coco gets there. Pedroia is retired.
That's what you like to see from Pedroia. He's aggressive, and that time the ball ran in on him as he was hoping to look for a pitch outside or towards the outer part of the plate and extend his arms, but it ran it enough that got the aggressive one.
Ortiz struck out looking in the first inning. That's the only strikeout for Cologne so far. Foul back. Ortiz will be headed to the All-Star game. Ninth time he's been an All-Star. Not bad.
Well, it's nice that in National League parks they are using the DH. So
good idea.
Yeah. That's something that with interleague play now and a interleague series every series throughout the year, maybe that's something that will change in the future. We'll see.
I think the big thing that's changed the last 3-4 years is the amount of relief pitchers that are now making the All-Star team. Not just closers. Now you see a handful of setup men going.
Right. And really not a bad idea. You have the starting pitcher who starts the game. He has as much time as he wants, but after that it's hurry up and let's go. And the relievers are the ones that can get loose the quickest.
Probably a product of the reason, or the reward for winning the game, home field advantage in the World Series, and you start thinking about matchups.
Well, and you really think about as a manager, you want to win it for your league. And Jill Leland, I'm sure as Ron Washington did in a couple of years, trying to get the American League with a home field advantage. Makes a difference, big difference.
Three and two to Ortiz. Gomes waits in the on-deck circle.
Stay away from him with a fastball.
And he shoots one left side. Down the line, but just foul. A couple feet.
And I think the shift for David Ortiz, the way he has swung in this series, he's really not pulled that many pitches.
No, and he can hit the ball the other way.
Yeah,
extremely well.
It's different at Fenway Park because he'll play pepper with the Green Monster, but they're expecting him to hit the ball on the ground and pull it to the right side. And David Ortiz is having a big swing, but he has not been able so far to catch up to a good fastball from Cologne.
And again, that one a little bit up.
Shook to the changeup that time. Yeah, it was a high changeup. Remember, he went inside the first at bat with a 0-2 two-seam fastball, struck him out. A lot of movement, but he's been reluctant to go back in this at bat with all fastballs and the last changeup outside.
Long look in by Cologne and see where he puts it. That one cued down the third base line. Jaso picks it up, throws in time. Anybody else running, Jaso may let it go foul, but he picked it up wisely and threw out Ortiz.
Well, he didn't do the 360 either. He kind of went around the ball, had a little bit extra time because of Big Poppy running, and got the slider that he hit off the end of the bat. And Jaso barehanded picked up the ball and made the throw to first base, running the ball into the runner.
So 2 outs for Gomes, who led off the second inning with a double. He would get to third, but that's where he was stranded. May have to get a new piece of lumber, and he will. Gomes swung at the first pitch his last at bat.
Think about Johnny Gomes with the Boston Red Sox. Been with the Tampa Bay Rays. Was the A's last year. 1-1-1, and now they're winning again. Someone asked him, what is it about you? Every place you go, the club wins. But you know, the thing that Johnny will not do as a new player in the ball club, he will not wait around. First day of spring training, sometimes he's not doing something that they should be doing to help the team win. He'll definitely talk to them about it. The description of the Red Sox in 2012, most dysfunctional team in baseball. Well, not anymore.
No. Not
with Johnny Gomes on the team. Definition of the intangible, that he is that. That's a true definition.
2-2 now to Gomes. 6 home runs this year for Gomes.
Johnny signed with the Boston Red Sox. First man he called was Bob Melvin. Called him. First guy he got on the phone, called him, and said, Skip, I'm going to the Red Sox. And all Bob Melvin could do was say, congratulations, you deserve the contract you got. And thought it was important, and he thought it was very important to make the call to Bob Melvin.
Strike 3 call. Second strikeout for Bartolo Colon, so he's locked in. He's retired 9 in a row. Gomes flips his helmet and bat. And we are scoreless heading to the bottom of the 4th. TNT named the 3 Red Sox AL MVPs who were born in California. I think one of them played in the 40s. That's just my guess.
40s?
30s and 40s. Top of the order for the A's, looking for their first hit. They've gone 9 up, 9 down against Workman so far in the game. So we'll see what happens the second time through the lineup. Sometimes adjustments are made.
Yep. I hope, because they didn't do anything the first 9. They can throw 41 pitches in the first 3 innings, so the A's got to see quite a few pitches. As usual, the pitcher facing the A's going to have a few 3-2 counts, 3-ball counts, which will get the pitch count up.
Coco skies one, a 2-0 pitch. Shallow left field, and Gomes has it, and that's out number 1. A's Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. Cache Creek's endless summers, waves of cash every day. Visit cachecreek.com for details. Beautiful day in Oakland and the surrounding areas. First pitch to Jaso is a strike. Workman, you can tell he feels pretty good because he's working quickly and throwing strikes. The Red Sox, knowing where they stand in their division, 2 teams closest to them, the Rays and the Orioles, both won today. So they get a small lead. It's now 3 over the Rays and 5 over the Orioles, including those wins today.
Yankees lost yesterday, and Yankees lost again today.
Yeah, they did.
Big time to the Twins.
To the count to Jaso, who hit a fly ball to left field.
Maybe a little bit of a purpose pitch, but a dangerous purpose pitch up around the head of Jaso. Got out of the way.
Good swing there, fouled left side, second level.
The A's have a little confrontation with the Red Sox. They'll send big Nate Fryman after
Big Nate.
Workman, yeah. About the same size. I don't know, gentle Nate though. You know, he's a nice guy. Most big guys are nice guys.
Yeah. There's the All-Star. So we can say that now. We're happy about that. First time for Grant Balfour.
First Australian pitcher. You just got the notes about Dave Nielsen. Of course, he's the first Australian. He was a catcher of the Brewers.
So a full count now to Jaso. I have not heard starting pitchers being named yet. Have you?
They usually named on Tuesday. The actual starters of the game.
Yeah, the starting pitcher.
Yeah, it's usually, I think, on Tuesday, the day of or the day before, maybe.
The day before.
Usually press conference with the managers to make the announcement. Yeah, the fans well aware of Grant Balfour and his selection of the All-Star team. They played his song before the game, letting everybody know.
Jaso is the A's first base runner. It's a 1-out walk.
That was 10 pitches. You're right. There are 10 pitches. I had to count quickly. So Grant Balfour gets the handshakes and John Jaso gets Devin Francesco. So that's a nice trade-off. Yeah, there's a little fist pump for Grant Balfour. Of course, the bullpens here at the Coliseum are out where the fans can show their appreciation for the relievers and especially to the All-Star. Ryan Cook, closer last year for the A's at this time, was the lone representative for the A's in the All-Star game.
Donaldson bounced out in the first inning. He's 1 for 9 in the series. Outfield deep and straight away for Donaldson. Outside corner strike. He's got to play Donaldson straight up. I mean, hits the ball with power to all fields.
You mentioned our open. He was talking to him after the game last night. He said, "How am I missing this?" He said, and that's when he counted 4 that he had just missed. It could have been home runs. The one that Bailey threw him on Friday night. Left the cutter up a little bit, but he got under it.
Just a bit outside, 2-1. Well, maybe these working Workman a little bit second time through the lineup, a little bit more selective.
4-3-2 count, 1-3-1 count. And if Chili Davis goes to the plate for every one of his hitters, then he's got a pretty good idea of what Workman's doing.
That one fouled just below us.
Josh Donaldson was looking for the pitch, got it, even though it was up, maybe even out of the strike zone. Still wanted to swing and attack it.
Two is hit slowly foul toward Mike Gallego. But Mike Gallego's ready for the home run derby tomorrow. There's a little pressure there. Got to work on your hittable pitches.
Well, he throws a lot of batting practice, so I'm sure he is ready to go. Just going back to the Big Apple where he played for the Yankees. Throwing to that man, Yoenis Cespedes.
That's right. You want to do the exact opposite of what a pitcher in a game
That's right.
wants to do.
I was just thinking about that.
Straight and down the middle as opposed to movement on the corners.
Yeah, if there's ever time to throw a four-seam mediocre fastball, that would be the time to do it.
You're right there. I think you'll hear hitters complain during BP if a guy's got a little movement.
That's right. Well, I don't think anybody will ever outdo what the gentleman who threw to Josh Hamilton was his high school baseball coach or somebody in New York. That when you talk about hitting home runs, Justin Morneau ended up winning it, but Hamilton couldn't get him out.
No, that was the best exhibition of home run hitting I've seen. You're right, he did not win. This is what they were doing yesterday. And look at the cages moved back. Yeah. So really there's no cage involved, which making it like it will be tomorrow night. But it may sound strange, Ray, but correct me if I'm wrong. Taking batting practice without the cage is a lot different than with the cage. It's just a different feel.
It's a different feel, but that's the home run derby is without a cage. You're right there in home plate, just as Josh Donaldson is right now, except they're going to protect the pitcher, and rightfully so. Some of these monsters hit balls back hard towards the pitcher.
Runner goes, and another foul ball. So good battle here between Workman and Donaldson.
There's the confidence that Bob Melvin has in Josh Donaldson to make some sort of contact.
22 pitches in this inning. And this is just the third hitter that he's faced.
10 to Jaso, the 10th coming up. 9th anyway.
Runner goes again. Strike three called. Throw to second. Pedroia digs it out and tags out Jaso. Donaldson is yet to leave the box. He can't believe that Tishner called it a strike. So a lot of disagreements with the home plate umpire this afternoon. When it's all said and done, no score after 4.
the ball in play, and what a play by the second baseman, Dustin Pedroia. But the one, I guess, complaint for the A's is that they have seen some pitches not called by this home plate umpire with Bartolo Colon. But I think the biggest thing, well, that's a great play by Pedroia, catching the ball. But let's take a look at the Tommy cam. Well, if that is a strike, then the ones that Bartolo's throwing are strikes also. But Tishner is not calling the outside fastball with the lefties from Colon, but that one was a right-hander on right-hander outside, and he did call it. Waller had to move Donaldson away from the plate. Bob Melvin went out to have a discussion with the home plate umpire.
Umpires don't like it when you do that. Slam the helmet down. That never sits too well with that.
Well, that now is considered an equipment fine. No ejection, but it's possible that Todd Tishner would make a note of that, and they would fine Josh Donaldson for throwing his helmet. If you run to first base and do the same thing, throw your bat.
2-1 the count to Mike Carp. Swing and a miss. Carp, Lavarnway, and Holt. 6, 7, and 8 in the Red Sox order.
I don't think Johnny Gomes liked the high fastball that was called him last night.
Yeah, whipped his helmet and bat as well.
See, that pitch cannot be that much different than the one Donaldson's called out. It did have the movement, but he has not given one of those fastballs to the left hand. It's a strike.
Carp lined out to the shortstop in the second inning. And he rips this one toward left center. Coco coming in, and he makes the catch. Another well hit ball by Carp, but he's got nothing to show for it.
Saw him in his last at-bat line a ball to shortstop with a runner at second. Leadoff double by Gomes, but watching his swing, I don't know if he can pull the ball. Everything's just kind of an inside-out swing. Unless he gets something off speed, he might be able to pull, but fastballs that he's gotten from Colon have both been hit to short and to left center.
So 1 out for Lavarnway, the catcher who bounced out to Donaldson in the second inning. So scoreless game, top of the 5th. So another series where it's really been about pitching.
Yep.
You think of the A's series in Pittsburgh, 3 games, a lot of good pitching on both sides. Same thing in this series. A's with their 8th shutout as a team last night. Best ERA in the American League. The Red Sox have the 7th best record in the American League. Theirs is 3.93. A's 3.65.
Well, they call pitchers duel boring, but they're great because the exciting thing about a pitcher's duel is that you want to have your defense sharp. You want to have the pitchers making the pitches and knowing that if you make a mistake, it could hurt your team, help the other, or the team that takes advantage of a mistake.
Foul tip. Jaso hangs on, and that's strikeout number 3 for Colon. Well, log on to CSNCalifornia.com and check out 30 A's in 30 days. Oh, yeah, get a behind-the-scenes look at your favorite athletics on and off the field. Find out how Josh Reddick has embraced being a team leader and why Coco Crisp never pursued a career in professional bowling. 30 A's in 30 days only on CSNCalifornia.com, your interactive home for Bay Area sports.
Maybe he wanted to save his knees so he could steal bases.
That's right. First pitch to Brock Holt is a strike. Fastball, and it's 0-2.
Seems like he's getting a little bit extra on his fastball. Amazing, Cologne, how he can vary the velocity on his fastball.
That's a little flare. Cespedes on the move, and he's going to get there. Great speed, tracks it down. 12 in a row retired by Bartolo Colon. Bottom of the 5th coming up. California. Ted Williams, Jackie Jensen, and Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia won it in 2008. Williams, 40. San Diego.
Ted Williams, Jackie Jensen, the local young man.
Yeah.
Was it the Boots and Herb that Jackie Jensen was involved in the restaurant?
That's right.
For a long time. Yeah, Jack went to score.
No score. It is the bottom of the 5th inning. Lowry to lead it off, followed by Cespedes and Reddick. These have had one base runner. It was a 1-out walk to Jaso last inning, and he was erased on the strike him out, throw him out double play. High and foul. And he's trying to figure out the rookie Brandon Workman. He's got 4 strikeouts. Pitch number 67 coming up. Looked like a pretty good pitch, but Lowry got the call, 2-1.
Well, it's a slider that he struck out on last at bat. The high slider away from him. This pitch down and in looked like it caught the plate, but
maybe a little inside.
Tishner critical of the inside pitch.
That would hit very high to center field. Ellsbury shading his eyes, fighting that tough sun, and he makes the catch. So Lowry is retired.
Now batting, number 52, Johannes.
Sunglasses, glove, probably the most important. Sunglasses are okay. Those are the wraparounds, not the flip down. But the biggest thing about that play was the big sigh of relief after he caught it.
First pitch to Cespedes. Fastball outside. Cespedes fouled out to the catcher in the 2nd inning. The Mariners leading the Angels 3-1 in the 5th inning. Rangers lost today 5-0 to the Detroit Tigers. Big swing and got a hittable pitch there.
See the rotation on the ball, a little backup of the slider, and almost got Todd Tishner, just eluded his face mask.
Curve hit very high to center. Ellsbury back and now in. And that's out number 2. So Reddick will hit.
Now batting, right fielder, number 16, Josh Reddick.
Reddick struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. Tries to hold up, and he does. Warm enough for that today, I think.
He's happy. Came to the game. Got, I guess, snow cone. Would that be
icy?
Icy, is that what it is?
Reddick just got a piece, fouled it right at the plate, in and out of the glove of LeVar.
Josh Reddick looking fastball and got it, but just the location, and sometimes that's what Workman is doing today. Is he's missing his location, but it's working out well for him because the hitters are not able to make solid contact.
Big swing by Reddick. So full count. Reddick has worked it back to full.
Josh got the base hit to the opposite field with a shift last night on a 3-2 pitch. Looked like on a 2-2 he was thinking about driving it to left field and may still be thinking about it.
And a fastball ran it in on him, and he gets the strikeout. 5th strikeout for Workman, so we're through 5, no score. Coors Light AL ERA leaders since the 11th of May. No surprise, Cologne on top by a lot. Parker's on the list, 2.49. A couple of Red Sox, DeBron and Lackey. Cologne has just been sensational. One to Jose Iglesias. 3 hits for the Red Sox, no hits for the Athletics here in the 6th inning. That one bounced to Lowry, who charges to get a good hop. That's out the ball. 13 in a row retired by Bartolo Colon. That's since the Johnny Gomes leadoff double.
I think Workman might be thinking what Juan Marichal said about the late Warren Spahn. As long as that old man's pitching well, I'm going to stick with it, because
can't leave beforehand.
Bartolo Colon is making just his first major league start. Workman is. He's got to be looking at Bartolo Colon and saying, how's he doing it? Well, it's not with mirrors. He is just a very, very good pitcher, but it's Workman who is yet to give up a hit.
Ellsbury fouls it back. Verlander, a no-hitter into the 7th inning today. Tim Lincecum, a no-hitter last night for the Giants down in San Diego. One pitch just missed. Guys with 2 Cy Youngs, 2 World Series titles, and the no-hitter. Gibson, Koufax, Palmer, and Lincecum. Not a bad list to be on. Ellsbury's going to get a new bat.
Late movement by Colon with his fastball, the 2-seam fastball.
Ellsbury, a single and a line out. Another foul ball left side. Nice crowd this afternoon, 31,417, 31417. So another good crowd. A good weekend of baseball, and crowds have showed up. Base hit for Ellsbury. Line drive to left field. So a 1-out hit. Speedy guy aboard.
Well, 2-strike hitting, and very good hitting by Ellsbury. He knows if he just gets on base and the pitch was up and away from him, which helped him get on top of the ball and drive it to left field. And his speed, he could hope for the same thing that Nava has done previous 2 at-bats. Double play and a ground ball to Moss. It's a question of whether all this can take place before Ellsbury attempts to steal. This is the Dwayne Murphy, Ricky Henderson. Murphy hitting behind Ricky Henderson and being a left-handed hitter. He's running. Wow. But good base stealers have the green light. But if you're a left-handed hitter, it's a little difficult to see or know if he's running or not.
He's got a huge lead and took a step or 2 towards second, did not go.
I think that was a quick release by Colon. He is very quick to the plate. It's a great slide step, and really when he wants to get a little extra on his fastball, he pitches out in the windup when he does it, or if there's not a threat of the base runner at first base running. Slide step, he gets a lot of movement on his fastball.
Nava has hit into a double play and grounded out. Now that is a base stealer's lead right there. Ellsbury's getting. He will go to that cut of the grass, and if you get out that far, that's a pretty good lead. He's 36 for 39 in steal attempts. Swing and a miss, and now it's 2-1 to Nava. Pedroia will be next.
Yeah, Bartolo Colon is doing a great job, and you know, the alternating the look to first, the throw to the plate, the quickness, and freezing the runner at first. And the key is not to let good base stealer get a walking running lead. And Ellsbury really has gotten the lead, but he's been stopped by Colon, and either a throw over to first or a quick pitch to the plate has so far prevented him from running.
And there he goes, and the ball's hit down the left field line, well foul.
Well, I think that was a hit and run. As soon as Ellsbury took off, he looked back to the plate, which would indicate a hit and run. And it maybe came down to Colon is so good that John Farrell decided to give Brian Butterfield the hit and run sign and pass it on to the hitter in the first base runner. And watch Ellsbury as he takes off. He's looking back to Nava, and that's the key of it being a hit and run. Heard contact, saw where the ball was, and got back. He's straight stealing. It's head down, heading to first or to second. Moss trying to keep it close by chattering.
That's true. Do whatever you can.
That's right. Back here, man. Let's talk.
Not running, and the ball's hit to right, and that's a base hit. Ellsbury racing around second. He's going to third, and it's first and third, one out for Pedroia.
That time Nava pulled the hands in. A good job on a pitch inside and tried to go the two-seamer, but it did not break, and maybe not as much on the pitch, and he was able to open up, and no chance for Reddick to get to Speedy Ellsbury. But this is a great job of letting the ball go through. Cutoff man just looked at it, watched it, and went all the way to Donaldson. But now A's have to get, or need to get, a ground ball for a double play.
First pitch to Pedroia is a fastball outside. Pedroia doubled in the first, a hustle double. And they get a fly ball to center field in the fourth. That one on the outside corner. Good pitch by Colon.
Two-seamer bringing it back from the outside part of the plate, the outside corner. It's a pitch that Bartolo throws so well. More times than not, will freeze a right-handed hitter until he gets a couple of strikes.
Big rip, foul back, and now Colon's ahead in the count, 1-2.
A quick pitch from Colon, and Pedroia got his hands in, but fouled it straight back. Now Pedroia goes into the protect mode, trying not to strike out.
Lays off as Colon Tried to sink one on the outside corner. Ellsbury at third, Nava at first. And that will line to left, and that's a hit. Down the line. Nava is going to stop at second, and Pedroia comes through with another big hit, and the Red Sox take a 1-0 lead.
Boy, throw him an off-speed pitch, which really a little bit surprising if you're trying to get a double play. And pitch towards the inside, but off speed right in the wheelhouse of Pedroia. It was a changeup, and Pedroia was all over it. And fortunately, Cespedes got the ball quickly enough. If it had not been a first and third, Nava held it second, Pedroia would have had a double.
Yeah, no question. I was thinking Nava was going to go to third,
yeah.
But and that one's drilled to left. Cespedes going back. And he settles underneath it on the warning track, and he's got it for out number 2. So the runners hustle back.
And by Nava not going to third, there's your difference.
Yep.
Nava hit a deep fly ball, but because Nava stayed at second, it's just an out.
Now batting, number 5, Johnny Gomes.
So here's Gomes now, 2 outs. A run in for the Red Sox. Doolittle starts to throw. Johnny Gomes a double and a strikeout so far today. He rips one foul. Right over the head of Brian Butterfield, the third base coach, who's down the line a little bit, so he's pretty close to Gomes.
He's going to go sit down in the A's dugout, I think, just to get as far away as he can. I mean, he is considerably out of the batter's box, but trying to get a good look for Nava, but in a dangerous position. You don't expect a right-hander to pull the ball that much, but Johnny Gomes is a little different.
Right there, and it's 0-2. Well, maybe Johnny, I don't know, looking for something else. That pitch was right there. Good movement, though. Strike 3 call. So Colon gives up 1. Could have been worse. So the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th. July 8th of last year, the Sunday before the All-Star break. Josh Reddick, a walk-off double in the 13th inning against the Mariners. A's won 2-1. It was their 8th walk-off win of the season. How about this, Ray? It got the team to the 500 mark at the break. This year, the A's are 16 games over 500 with this game to finish up before the break. Now, if the A's play the second half this year like they did last year, they're going to be okay.
Considering they were 13 out on June the 30th, a couple of weeks before the break.
Every year's different.
Bartolo Colon gave up a run in the top of the inning, but the A's don't have a hit, so it's tough to win a game. Bartolo's pitching great, just giving up the 1 run. It's through 6 innings. But his club has to first of all get their hit and then some runs.
Yeah, one thing at a time, right?
Yeah. Got to walk. Thrown out on a strike him out, throw him out.
Inside corner, strike 2 called to Moss. Smith, and Sogard here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 5 strikeouts and 1 walk so far for Brandon Workman. Workman last pitched on Wednesday. He pitched 2 innings in relief. So he has been starting in the minor leagues. So we'll see if there's any kind of pitch count. Lavarnway flips the mask and helmet off, and he's got it. So Moss is retired, and that's out number 1. I would think, Ray, at some point, 84 pitches. We'll probably see some action in the bullpen.
One thing Workman is doing to the lefties is getting the ball inside. They can't drive it. And the surprising thing with the shift that all the lefties seem to have against them by the Red Sox, that they're not getting in a position where they're pulling the ball. Their fastballs are inside and they're set up straight up, not driving them.
Smith takes inside. Smith hit a fly ball to center field in the 3rd inning. Shift is on with the shortstop Iglesias, the only infielder on the left side of the diamond, playing a shallow set. Two and 0. So shift on the infield, straight away in the outfield. That one driven to left field. Gomes goes back. He's under it, and that's out number 2. So Smith hit that ball pretty well the other way, but drops into the glove of Gomes. 2 away, and here's Sogard.
Now batting second baseman, 28, Eric Sogard.
Sogard grounded out to Pedroia in the 3rd inning. And he rolls that one. Pedroia on the backhand, throws on the run, and another nice play by the Red Sox second baseman. He's been doing it all in this series. 3 up, 3 down. 7th inning coming up, 1-0 Boston.
Sonoma Raceway, the NHRA Sonoma Nationals at Sonoma Raceway, July 26th to the 28th. Where tickets go to racesonoma.com. That's racesonoma.com.
I think we need to go to getsomruns.com.
I think that's a good place to go.
But let's start at getahit.com.
Well, let's first of all have Bartolo Colon noruns.com in this half of the inning, and then get some hits and runs in the bottom half as Coco will be leading off for the A's.
Carp, Lavarnway, and Holt here in the top of the 7th inning. 1-0 the Red Sox lead. It was a Dustin Pedroia RBI single last inning. Mariners still leading the Angels. It's now 4-1 in the top of the 6th inning. Strike 2 call. Carp doesn't agree. Hitters have not been thrilled with Todd Tishner today on both sides.
A little inconsistent.
Johnny Gomes was not happy last inning.
As you saw Eddie Montague on your way back, and I had asked him because last night when A.J. Griffin went to the bullpen to warm up during the game. It was a long inning, pitching changes, and I asked Eddie, actually asked Bill Miller, and Bill said he really didn't see it last night, but I asked Eddie Montague, and he brought in the rule book and said that a pitcher who is already in the game can go to the bullpen.
Coco's on the move. He's not going to get it, and it rolls by him to the wall, and Hart is going to have a double.
Well, you think they would play him in that direction because that's where he has hit all 3 now. 2 have been caught. 1 by the shortstop, 1 by Coco, and this one just kept slicing left center, and I don't think it would have kept Carp at first anyway, but here's your inside out swing. That is an opposite field swing, and he's not going to pull it. And the ball slicing as much as it was, Coco couldn't get to it. It's the thing that Eddie brought up in the rule book. It said a pitcher may go to the bullpen and warm up even though he's into the game as long as it does not delay the game.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He said
he had never seen it. I said, we saw it last night, and I had seen it before, and the particular umpire, I do remember, would not allow it, but that's in the rule book, whether it's new or not. But there are very few bullpens, at least in the American League, that we know for sure. Tampa.
Yeah.
Here.
That makes a little,
because they're in play.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're it's not like in other parks where they're outside in left field or right field. I mean, you couldn't do it Texas with the bullpen in left center.
You have to run through the field to get there. So we learn something every day. Ed Montague, who's actually, and I'm saying this in all seriousness, it's kind of nice to have him up here because he does give us some rules information occasionally. We're not afraid to ask him. He's very upfront with what's good, what's bad, what we can and can't do.
I was ejected a few times as a player, but never before the broadcast before this year.
Did you get thrown out?
He threw me out.
Yeah.
Guess I was arguing too much with him, so he threw me out from up here.
Over Colon's head to Lowry, but it's going to be a productive out by Lavarnway. He wanted to get the runner over, and he did. So Carp goes to third. Colon leaped for it, and initially it looked like he was going to get it, but it just went over his head.
If he had caught it, it would have been an out at third, but it didn't happen. And now the infield will have to come in for a lefty who's hit 2 fly balls, 1 to center, 1 to left. Going Bob Melvin's face, and of course with the righty Colon, and we have seen this in the past where Bob Melvin's Colon's pitch count is not that high for him, and still pitching effectively, but likes to see a starting pitcher get out of his own jam. See if he can do it again.
First pitch to Brock Holt. Foul back, got in on him a little bit. Holt has hit a fly ball to center, and he has hit a fly ball to left. 2 for 8 in the series with a couple of RBIs. And that's a base hit to left field. Holt just drilled it right past the drawn-in infield. Trotting in to score is Carp, and the Red Sox lead 2-0. Holt's had some big hits in this series.
Yeah, and the way the left-handed hitters are just driving the ball to the opposite field, and where Colon is staying outside with them. And it looks like Bob Melvin is going to the bullpen for his lefty, but this is just smart hitting, because the fastball is out there running away from the lefty, and he's just, instead of trying to pull the ball, just going with it to left field.
So Colon 6 1/3 this afternoon. Gave up a run in the 6th, one here in the 7th. So Bart will not get his 13th win this afternoon. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. It's your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts.
On Comcast Sportsnet California is brought to you by Xfinity, home of the most live sports, and by Toyota. Do the math and save at your local Toyota dealer.
Red Sox have added another run here in the top of the 7th, 2-0. Still only one out. Doolittle to face Iglesias. And a first pitch strike. So Doolittle comes in for his 42nd appearance. He pitched on Friday night and he took the loss through 16 pitches. So 3-3 with a 3.66 ERA. So Colon gives up 8 hits in 6 1/3. 2 runs so far. Holt is the runner at first, decent lead, and the ball is popped up to right. Reddick is under it. He's got it. So that's out number 2 here in the top of the 7th inning. And now Ellsbury will hit.
Now batting, number 2, Jacoby Ellsbury.
Ellsbury quiet in the first 2 games of the series, going 0 for 8, but today 2 for 3 with a couple of singles and a run score.
After Holt got the hit, and Bob Melvin made the pitching change, even though it's a lefty coming in to face a righty, but also knew this lefty was coming up. Ooh, what a jump.
Indeed, swing and a miss, the throw to second base, and Holt goes in standing up with a stolen base.
And Ellsbury must not have known, because he swung at the pitch, but it's such a great jump. He went on the first move and no look after the initial look. And J-So, that's one of the old NC, no chance. Lowry cutting in front to catch a ball with no chance of getting the runner.
It's the 3rd stolen base in the series for the Red Sox. second in the league in steals this year. They now have 73. Very high down the left field line. Cespedes on the move, and Donaldson, and it's Donaldson who makes the catch over the shoulder with his back to home plate. Terrific play by Donaldson in foul territory. Workman-like effort.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that all day, but I wouldn't say it. It's all right, Brody.
We're going to give Brody a little credit, but not.
It's too obvious.
At least not until the A's get a hit.
That's right.
That's the problem. A's losing 2-0, and they don't have a hit. It's the bottom of the 7th inning. Top of the order against Brandon Workman.
Let's see if the Donaldson great play defensively can turn the A's offense around. There is bullpen activity for the Red Sox because of the pitch count for this young man.
There's a play again by Donaldson.
Not an easy play because when it's over your shoulders, you're putting your glove out, and how far do you go and then have the ball come back to you? But a great play by Donaldson, a lot of foul territory, and he made it look easy.
Coco tries to hold up, couldn't do it. As Adam Henry said, you went around, and the count is 1-2. Pitch number 91 from Workman. There is action in the bullpen, and it looks like Craig Breslow. 1-2 pitch. Hit hard, but foul. There's Breslow. He's been throwing for a little bit, so he's pretty close to being ready. And that one's hit up the middle. Pedroia dives. He's got it. Throw to first. Not in time. And there's the A's first hit. So a leadoff single by Coco here in the 7th inning.
Laughing because the Larry reminds us of the great Hawk Harrelson. Now there's the first hit. Cancel the press conference.
Yep.
Because that's. But fortunately, it's the speed of Coco Crisp from the left side because Pedroia makes another great play. Diving, comes up throwing it. It's a close play. But Coco with his speed able to beat it out. But Pedroia can play some infield. He can hit. He's all over the place, but at least the A's get something started. And probably a big sigh of relief by one John Farrell and Rodney Evans, because this young man a no-hitter through 6 innings, and you start worrying about the pitch count for the young pitcher, and that now is out of the picture.
First pitch strike to Jaso.
Only the second time today that Workman has been out of the stretch. Other times when Jaso was at first and Donaldson was hitting, as he strike him out, throw him out. But this runner at first creates the hole for Jaso to get out in front if he can pull one.
Well outside, 1-1 the count. Donaldson waiting in the on-deck circle. Jaso has hit a fly ball to left field, and he has walked. This one's popped up left side. Sun is tough. Gomes and the shortstop Iglesias, who makes a very nice play. Well, you could tell that everybody was battling the sun that time, and it ended up being Iglesias, the shortstop, who got out there to make the catch.
It's too shallow for Johnny Gomes to come in and catch it, and Coco Chris, the third baseman Holt, had no idea where it was, and Iglesias was there to make the play, and Johnny Gomes looked like he was set up just in case there was a bobble. He was going to be able to make the play on the rebound, but didn't happen. Excellent play.
So 1 out. Here's Donaldson. Curveball that stays high to Donaldson. Ground out, and he struck out into a double play.
He's been trying to throw the curveball all day, but he's done nothing with it. But he's been able to come back with good fastballs, and the A's have not been able to do much with the fastball.
Missed again, 2-0. Good lead at first, not going anywhere, and that time the off-speed pitch in for a strike. Lowry in the on-deck circle, and he's trailing 2-0. Swing. And a miss. Now it's 2-2. Angels scored a couple times in the top of the 6th inning, so the Mariners now leading just 4-3. Bottom of the 6th. Sorry about that, Ray.
It's a hard slider, and Donaldson looking for something else, and swung at one of the rare bad pitches that he swings at.
Two pitch. Foul back. Donaldson decides he doesn't want that shin protector that he wears. Wears it up high and right below the knee, which you do not see a lot of the protectors placed there, but he just took it off.
Let's hope it was just restricting him. Now he's free to go.
inside and low. Full count.
Well, it's the same count. Last at bat, 3-2. Jaso was at first. Now it's Coco. Jaso ran. Called strike 3. Threw him out. Josh Donaldson said he has missed 4 pitches. Should have been home runs. Let's see if he has a 5th one that he can drive, because he is swinging hard.
And Coco just got back. He was going.
And he's looking at the first base umpire, Mike Malinsky, maybe about the move, because Coco reads the pitchers quite well, but there was something that happened that he thought he was going to the plate, did not, and that's how quickly he's able to reverse and get back to the bag.
Here's the 3-2. Coco takes off, and the pitch is drilled to left center field. Ellsbury's going back, and that baby is gone, and we're tied at 2.
He didn't miss that one. And a mistake by the right-hander, and Josh Donaldson crushed it. Nice job, a workman effort, but a bad pitch to Josh Donaldson, and he hit it 16.
Now when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. It's your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. Seventh inning. And there's also knocked Brandon Workman out of the game. So the veteran left-hander Craig Breslow comes in. So Breslow, former Athletic. Breslow was with the A's in 2009, 2010, and 2011. And he was good in all 3 years.
Never say no, Breslow, and he will make the call. Throw about 91 with a fastball. The cutter, which he threw there, 2-seam fastball. Curveball and a changeup, but down at home in the Boston bullpen.
Missed again, and it's 2-0. In fact, in the offseason, Breslow signed a 2-year contract with the Red Sox with a club option for 2015. So he got a little bit of security. 6th year in the big leagues. Breslow off the mound, grabs it. Overhand throw to first. So Lowry is retired for out number 2.
Well, the location of this pitch, not where Workman wanted it, because remember he had struck him out on a fastball. See Lavarnway move back towards the inside part of the plate, and catchers know when a pitcher makes a mistake, things can happen, and that happened there in a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And that ball was crushed, and no doubter. He's looking, Workman did, like he thought maybe it wouldn't go out, but it was crushed. Josh Reddick, a former Red Sox player, loved it, and so did the rest of the club. So Coco gets an infield hit, only the first, and that quickly. Randall Workman just 2 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. He's got a no decision, but a very, very good performance by the right hand.
2-0 now to Cespedes. 2 outs here in the 7th. Cespedes is fouled out and hit a fly ball to center field. Missed again inside, and now it's 3-0. Not close. So Breslow really came anywhere near the strike zone to Cespedes.
Almost looked like intentional.
Yeah.
But how about an expo swing of Josh Donaldson? High leg kick, get the foot down the bat, and maybe a little bit of a smile because he knew he got his pitch to hit, and maybe thinking he'd just missed 4 balls that he thought should have been home runs, but he was not going to miss that one. What a first half season for Josh Donaldson. 16 home runs. He's driven in 60. And a 300+ batting average.
So lefty on lefty now, Breslow and Reddick. Reddick has struck out twice. It's 2 for 8 in the series. Swing and a miss, and now it's 0-2. Well, it could be that Breslow was just pitching around Cespedes a little bit anyways.
He probably lefty on righty. If he makes mistakes, Cespedes could hit a home run. Not take a chance with Reddick.
Although I say pitching around somebody a little bit, really you either are or you aren't.
Yeah, that's true. And better that you better know how, if you're going to pitch around him and not make a mistake. If you go to 3-0 and you give him a pitch that's a strike, that's not pitching around. That just put him on, which he did.
Reddick will try to make that hurt. He does not as he swings and misses. So Reddick has struck out 3 times. But Donaldson, another big hit. A 2-run homer here in the bottom of the 7th inning. As we head to the 8th, we're tied at 2. To you by Hyundai. Hyundai Sunday is brought to you by your Bay Area Hyundai dealers. Beautiful look at Alameda Pier. On a gorgeous day in the Bay Area. And another good tight ball game between these two very good teams, the A's and the Red Sox. Two best records in the American League. So Donaldson's home run has tied it, and it is the top of the 8th inning. Doolittle stays out there. He'll face Nava, who's a switch hitter, then Pedroia and Ortiz. Cook starts to throw in the bullpen.
Well, to duplicate this game as Cook gets ready to what we saw on Friday night. 2-2 game in the 8th inning. Doolittle was pitching. Iglesias with a base hit. So the 8th inning again. The A's have tied it again thanks to the 2-run home run by Donaldson. That was after Friday night. A home run by Lowry to tie the game. Donaldson, that great play on Ellsbury down in the corner, and he came up big in the bottom of the 7th inning after his defensive play. The Raiders might be looking for him for as a tight end or something, the way he made a play.
Down in the end zone. Tough play, and it's going to be Reddick who gets there. Reddick playing shallow, and he tracks it down.
Well, that's a great point, Cat. Playing shallow, and Nava, a switch hitter, batting right-handed, and if Reddick is not playing shallow, that is a base hit. If he's playing the normal depth you see from right fielders, and you see where he was, did not have to run that far to get to the ball, and caught it head high. That is a tremendous play by the A's Gold Glove right fielder. So he struck out 3 times today, but he's played some great defense in right field, which is what you expect from Josh Reddick.
Pedroia takes a strike on the outside corner. Single, double, and a fly ball to center field. A couple hits for Pedroia. A single in the 6th was an RBI hit, and it gave the Red Sox a 1-0 lead. Close 3-1. Doing the wave here at the O'Donnell Cove Coliseum.
Something new.
Haven't seen that in a while.
$27,000 plus Friday, 35,000 sellout plus last night, 36,000 actually.
A 1-out walk to Pedroia.
Add to your collection with the first ever Yoenis Cespedes bobblehead. Friday, August the 17th, 15,000 fans will get a Yoenis Cespedes bobblehead. It's presented by State Farm when the A's host the Cleveland Indians. For more information and tickets, call 877-493-BALL, or you can visit OaklandAthletics.com/tickets. Yoenis Cespedes, and you won't see any burning. I think you're going to see power, yo power. And that's what I expect to see. Home run derby in New York.
First pitch to Ortiz, big rip, fouled straight back. Oh for 3 this afternoon for David Ortiz. One for 11 in the series. Slider and call the ball. Johnny Gomes in the on-deck circle.
Good breaking ball, full, big poppy, and
that's a strike.
Maybe Todd Tishner as well, because He kind of dropped his head, Tishner did. I was almost to say I missed that one, but that's a pretty good pitch.
Another one, and this time Ortiz swings and misses, so it's 1-2. Outfield is extremely deep.
A lot off the second breaking ball he threw to Ortiz.
That one bounces to second. Long flip. Lowry has it. Double play. 4-6-3 double play. Nothing for the Red Sox. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. Tied at 2. Dealers. Pitchers duel, Cologne and Brandon Workman, and both were very good. But Red Sox busted through in the 6th inning. Pedroia with an RBI single. It was 2-0, and Brandon Workman had a no-hitter through 6 innings, so there was a little concern, but Donaldson to the rescue. 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th. That tied the game at 2. So only 2 hits allowed by Workman, but one of them that home run. 2-8-0 for the Red Sox, 2-2-0 for the Athletics. So both pitchers pitch well, but both going to get no decisions. Fryman pitch hitting goes after the first pitch down the right field line, and it is going to fall. Fryman puts on the brakes. He's got a bloop single to lead off the bottom of the 8th.
First pitch hitting, pulled off a little bit, found it, ran, and fortunately didn't try to go to second, because once the ball dropped, Nava came in and made a very good play. And I tell you, it's a kind of a no man's land, but Nava got a bare hand and a strong throw towards second base, and Nate rounded first, got back, and if Ty Wallach could have reached out and grabbed him, we would have.
So Smith steps in. First pitch is low. Shift is on with Iglesias, the shortstop, playing in, thinking about a bunt. Now Smith squares around and bunts it foul back up over the backstop.
I wonder if the first pitch that he took was a missed sign, because he didn't offer it the first one. Fortunately, it was out of the strike zone. Usually the hitter gets a chance to swing at the first pitch, and then if he doesn't have success, he'll be asked to bunt. Maybe Smitty's trying to bunt it hard past third base with a shift and hit a double.
Swinging away this time, checks his swing.
Now you have to wonder if he did it on his own.
You got me wondering about a lot of things.
I know. I got me wondering about it. Maybe the shift. Maybe Smitty was just what he tried to do, or it actually did in Houston, where he bunted the ball down the third base line, opened up about a 6-run inning with his shift.
Strike inside corner, 2-2.
Hanging slider that stayed on the inner part of the plate.
Breslow goes back behind the mound. Grabs the rosin bag. And Smith slices one toward left field. Gomes coming in, and he dives, and he caught it. Risky play, but Gomes makes a nice play.
Well, like Josh Reddick, he was playing shallow. And Smitty just trying more than anything, maybe to hit the ball on the ground with the shift, but got it airborne. And Johnny Gomes, and the slide popped up just to see if Fryman was taken off to second. Probably could have caught the ball about chest high and avoided the slide.
Yeah, he had a pretty good read on that one.
Yes, he did.
But I guess the point is if he misses it,
oh yeah,
the A's take the lead.
And the dangerous part about that, going in and leaving your feet, and you're changing your eyesight. But it looked like it almost caught the ball before he went in the slide, but it worked out. But you have to give Smitty credit, because he was trying to hit the open left side of the infield.
Here's Sogard, who is grounded out to Pedroia twice. And he bunts it toward Pedroia, who charges, spins around, gets the out at second. How about that? Sogard tried to drag bunt, and you want to get it past the pitcher. He did, but he hit it, bunted it very hard, and Pedroia hustled in, and that's a nice play by the second baseman.
Well, Pedroia, with Fryman stopping, at that point he did the 360 and is going to make sure he got the lead runner. And right there, but Fryman did the best job by stopping, giving Sogard a chance, because if he had tagged out Fryman, he'd turn to the double play. So maybe Sogard did that to get more speed at first, so he could score on an extra base hit. Maybe that would be it. But actually, he just bunted it too hard.
2 outs for Coco Crisp, who got the first hit of the game, an infield hit in the 7th inning. Strike on the outside corner. Well, another day of a little bit of light offense for the A's, but pitching's always good, and they continue to have the ability lately to win these games when the offense has not done a whole lot.
Well, they talked after Friday's game that whenever the A's are tied at home, there's a good chance they're going to win the game. That didn't happen Friday, with the Red Sox scoring 2 in the 8th. So the same score today, similar situation, although the Red Sox didn't score in the 8th. The A's trying to score in their part of the game, especially the bottom half of this 8th inning or 9th if it goes to that.
Coco's going to call timeout, step back. Long look in by Breslow. Still looking in. Now he's ready. Sogard has 4 steals on the year. I correct myself. He's got 7 steals on the year. He's dancing around a little bit, just letting Breslow know that he can't swipe a bag. 7 for 11 in that category.
Sogard's little move is drawing the throw from Breslow, and Breslow is pretty much on his own. He does not need to get a call from the dugout because he sees Sogard getting a bigger lead, and as a left-hander watching all that, he's just trying to control the game, running game himself.
In the dirt, nice block by Lavarnway.
A good job because he kept the ball in front of him. I like what John Jaso does. He gets the little hop lead off first base, and as a catcher, as he said, when he sees the ball in the dirt, he knows it's difficult for a catcher, and he's off and running. Sogard did not get the extra lead.
Not close. 2-2. So Breslow, 23 pitches out of the bullpen. This is his first appearance in this series. Coco line drive right into the glove of Iglesias, and that'll do it. So we are going to the 9th inning, and we're tied at 2.
Is presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
The A's Endless Winter Theme Fireworks Show presented by Burton Snowboards is set for Friday, August the 2nd after the A's play the Rangers at Old Pro Coliseum. Bring the family and enjoy the show from the outfield grass. On-field capacity is limited. Sierra Tahoe and Burton Snowboards will be on site helping kids learn how to snowboard in their Riglet area by Section 235. For more information and tickets, go to oaklandathletics.com/fireworks. You know how to snowboard?
No.
Would you ever try?
I would, yeah, but I'm a bit more of a snow skier.
Oh, you're a skier? Oh, you're even better.
No, I didn't say I was a good one. I'll throw a yard sale out there as well as anybody, believe me. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. The All-Star Grant Balfour is in, and obviously not a save situation, but get the All-Star in there in the top of the 9th and try to keep it tied and win it in the bottom of the 9th. So Balfour comes in to face Gomes, Carp, Lavarnway. Fryman is now at first base after pinch hitting. So Balfour's ready, and the first pitch to Gomes. Big swing, foul is back. Double and a couple of strikeouts for Gomes. His only start in the series. Gomes with 6 home runs, 22 runs batted in this year.
Well, last night, the first batter he faced, and then fell behind the next 3 batters, 2-0 before coming back to getting all 3 out. Save.
And a fastball, 94 miles an hour, and Gomes fouls that one straight back, and the count is 1-2. Another good swing by Johnny Gomes.
That's
like he's getting the pitches he's looking for. He's following back.
Kind of a flat-footed swing also, not much of a load. He's just using his upper body, trying not to commit too soon.
Koji Uehara, the Red Sox closer, is throwing in their bullpen. Another foul ball and another fastball, 94 miles an hour. See Uehara not really warming up quite as intensely as he would be if the Red Sox were to get a run. Fryman coming over, shading his eyes, and he cannot quite get there.
Kind of makes you wonder about Uehara warming up. And yeah, you would think that on the road, closer's going to come in only in a safe situation. Fryman heading over, and maybe the fact that he had to find the ball with the sun in his eyes before he could really start running after it. Uehara in the closer, and does Breslow stay in the game if the Red Sox don't score? I know that John Farrell will burn his closer in a tie game. You never know.
And Johnny Gomes asked for time, and he didn't get it, and he swings and misses. And Johnny Gomes gets thrown out. I guess you can sort of understand Gomes' frustration, but the umpire does not have to give him timeout.
Well, if the pitcher's ready, then you're right. Now, Bill Miller, the acting crew chief, comes hustling in. Johnny's asking, but really,
that's late.
That is late, because if Balfour is winding up and he put his hand up, and then he swung at a pitch out of the strike zone, but
he was well into his windup.
Yeah, that's a great call and a great shot, guys, because it looked like Balfour was getting ready to wind up or in the wind-up position. And you know, you never want to have timeout called with the pitcher ready to throw, because you can hurt the pitcher.
Well, I think Johnny's wrong on this one.
Yeah, let's look again as Balfour, he's in the windup, and that's when Johnny's calling. So
Yeah, that's late.
That is late.
Yeah. I mean, his leg was up in the air.
Yeah.
Foul for it. So Gomes kicked out of the game after striking out, and here's Mike Carp.
And you know what happens with Balfour? He does take time, but once he stands on the mound,
he's ready to go.
He's ready to go, and he kind of quick pitches, because you just saw him with the first pitch to Carp. He stands there, and sure, he'll go through a lot of different things, but all the while the hitter does not have to stand in there. But once Balfour gets his sign, he's there, and he's going. Boom, let's go. And that, at that point, it is too late for an umpire, I think, to make the call. It's timeout. But another good pitch by Brett Balfour with the pitch up and in.
Stays with the fastball a bit high to Carp, who has hit 3 balls hard today. Line to short, line to center, and doubled and scored in the 7th. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. And now Carp is chewing at home plate umpire Todd Tishman.
I don't think he has anything to argue about that one. It's just a 4-seam right over the top, and it's not too high. And if it's not outside, I don't know why this complaint. And maybe because Todd Tishman hasn't called it all day, and maybe finally decides to at the corner.
Yep. Of course it did. It's right there.
It looks like it.
Lavarnway pops it up, foul territory. Fryman coming over. And Big Nate getting his wind sprints in.
And every time he takes off from first, you see his hand go up and trying to block the sun to try to find the ball. When you're 6'8", and it takes a little while for your big body to get going, and you're putting your hand up to try to find the ball, that's a hard recovery. He's going after it, and he started to sprint after he had located the ball, but might as well sprint towards the location, try to find it. Otherwise, you never get to it.
That one could have been called a strike. It was not. 1-1 to Lavarnway. Chases that one, so now 1-2. In the bottom of the 9th, it'll be Jaso, Donaldson, and Lowry for the A's.
With Ricky Martin, Lavarnway started his swing, no chance. Kevin Youkilis' number.
No chance there. Breaking ball. Lavarnway chases, so Balfour strikes out the side in the top of the 9th inning. Bottom of the 9th coming up. A's will try to win it.
Josh Donaldson, a fastball. Unlike the previous at bat with a 3-2 fastball, this time he swung and this time he hit it out and got the 31,000 plus fans on their feet to cheer as it tied the game at 2-2. So the A's are trying to win it, and if they do it, it will be in a walk-off fashion. Bottom of the ninth with a 2-2 game. And Kuip with O.J. Uehara coming in. I say that Andrew Bailey also has closed games, and maybe if that's the case, I'd rather see Uehara come in at this point. Kuip in left, Napoli at first base as Johnny Gomes was ejected.
So Jaso leading it off against Uehara, who pumps in strike. Koji Uehara comes in when it's time for a change. Think speedy oil change and tune-up. Get your oil change tune-up and Spawn experts. Uehara got the save on Friday night, and he was very impressive. Struck out the side on 14 pitches. And on 3 pitches, Jaso strikes out. What's this guy throwing, Ray?
A lot of strikes and fooling all the guys. Have to wonder back in April when Chris Young had a 2 home run game. One of those came against Uehara. And you have to wonder how, because he has been just lights out against the A's in this series. He's got that knee shot finish with a hand up. Maybe that's fooling the A's hitters.
First pitch to Donaldson is a bit inside. Donaldson tied the game with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th inning. Call the ball, 2-0. Lowry in the on-deck circle. 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th. Donaldson fouls it at the plate. With that off-speed pitch, it's really got guys frustrated with Uehara. 81 miles an hour.
Fortunate for Josh Donaldson hit on top of the ball. Maybe the unfortunate thing, it bounced up and hit him in the midsection.
Swing and a miss. 89 miles an hour.
He was behind that one, behind the fastball. And maybe Donaldson was sitting something soft, and at 89 seemed like it was 109. That's a pitch to hit too, but it just was past him.
Two pitch. Donaldson calls time. Actually, Uehara had started. Uehara started his windup when Donaldson called time, and the umpire gave it to him. And that one's lined. Nice play by Holt, who straightens up. Long throw, and they get Donaldson. So that's out number 2. So John Farrell probably has a legitimate argument, or at least a complaint that time, from the Red Sox dugout.
But he did have his third baseman on the line and taking extra bases away from Donaldson.
Watch one time. See, he has started. Yeah.
That's exactly what
he was rocking back.
What Balfour was doing.
He was not quite as deep into his windup as Balfour was, but once you start rocking forward at all, Uehara bare hands, jump, throw, and they got him. Nice play by Koji Uehara. So he's been impressive in this series. And we got extra innings, folks. Just like last year, the game before the break, 2-2. and Go Deep with Sportsnet Central. It's brought to you by AT&T Uverse. It's coming up this evening. You'll see it at 6 p.m. on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. Ed Freed's All-Star Report from New York City. One of all the highlights from this game and all around Major League Baseball. The final game before the All-Star break. Minnie Bach and Henry Wilford will host. So Ed Freed will be in New York. So extra innings as Ryan Cook comes on when it's time for change. Think speedy oil change and tune-up. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog expert. So Cook comes in here in the 10th inning. Foul 4. Strikes out the side in the 9th. So he's tuned up and ready to go for the All-Star game. Brock Holt, Jose Iglesias, and Jacoby Ellsbury. First pitch from Cook is outside. Had an RBI single in the 7th inning. That knocked in this Red Sox second run. Extra innings this year. The Red Sox are 5-3. The A's are 6-3. Fryman dives, he's got it. Gets up, flips in time. What a play by Big Nate.
Well, he's been all over the place, diving, sliding. This time, though, a tremendous play that was a bullet. Looked like it was past him, but what a play by Nate Fryman. Diving, came up with it. Nice feed to Ryan Cook, who casually took it after a great play by Nate Fryman. That was a base hit all the way. But you notice he was not necessarily guarding the line against extra bases, so in a lot of cases took a base hit away. If he had been guarding the line, it would have been an easy hit.
This one's popped up to shallow right field. Sogard has it, and that's out number 2.
Did he put his sunglasses down?
I don't know. He's fighting it a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, he cleaned his glasses earlier, so he was ready. I got it. I got it. Sun more towards left field, so right field not as bad this time of the day.
So top of the order in Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury is 2 for 4, couple of singles, and he has scored a run. Slider is low. So Doolittle an inning and 2/3. Balfour an inning. No runs allowed by the A's bullpen. Lowry's going to have to hurry. Throws on the run, and it's not quite in time, and it gets past Fryman, but Ellsbury never looked back. Jaso was hustling over there, but I'm surprised Ellsbury didn't at least glance over his right shoulder. He never looked.
And you should be doing that because you have to realize there's a lot of foul territory, and it's a long run for a catcher to try to get to the ball. Nate Fryman reaching out. It should have been a ball that he just blocked because he had no chance to get Ellsbury. But he's stretching, trying to short hop the ball. But that ball with it bouncing out in front, just come off the bag, block it, keep Ellsbury at first, which fortunately he stands there. But you're right, Kevin, he did not look at all once he got to first. And normally, with his speed, would turn around and just see where the ball is. So maybe Nate Fryman stretching deked him.
Here's Nava. Fouls it at home plate.
But you get your sprints in if you're a catcher. Catch it here. Yeah. Ground ball.
And it's not easy to get over there. I mean, you really have to bust your butt to get over there. Even that play, Jaso, I mean, he was hustling over there.
Yeah, it's a long sprint. And a lot of times you'll see a second baseman on the ball to the left side of the infield. Second baseman will get over and try to back up, knowing that the catcher has a long run.
trying to stall Ellsbury at first. We've told you about his stolen bases and how much of a threat he is. Grabs his lead and he runs, and the ball's bounced towards Sogard, and that is a thank you. Why wouldn't you let the guy steal the bag? Who knows? A's will take it. Bottom of the 10th coming up. Two game. It is the bottom of the 10th inning from the Coliseum. So the A's will try to win it here in the bottom of the 10th. And that's a little flare down the right field line, and it's foul. Would have been a double.
Oh, Cespedes was halfway to second. Father holding his son, maybe a first time he's been to a game, and I wonder if he's saying to his son, you ever seen a walk-off? You ever seen a walk-off and the interview, get pie in the face? See if you can see it. That close of being extra bases to start the 10th inning. He's kept slicing and no chalk. But the good news, Cespedes was running hard and he was on his way to second.
So Cespedes steps back in. Koji Uehara had a very quick ninth inning. Just 9 pitches. That one bounced up the middle. Iglesias dives. His throw is not in time, and it goes past Napoli.
He's got to get back to first. Just now, he's just getting back to first because he made the turn.
He did make a little turn.
Yeah,
you're right.
And Lavarnway backing up. Oh, now they're saying they're going to give him second base because the ball went into the photographer's well or the dugout someplace, or there's going to be a loud conference. Somebody allowed it because Cespedes is going to second, and now the discussion. And these are the ground rules that are discussed prior to the game. Cespedes hustling after this ball, headed towards center field, but Iglesias, nice dive, but a low throw. Napoli couldn't handle it. Let's see where it ends up. Well, did it stay in play? If it stayed in play, what did he hit though when it caromed off? And now Ty Waller is motioning towards second. And Ty Waller usually is the the coach that takes out the lineup part, and they talk about the ground rules. So with Ty immediately pointing towards second, it must have hit something that would indicate that the ball is out of play and the runner is awarded second base.
Well, the way John Farrell's arguing, he is not winning this argument.
No, man,
that's good news for the A's.
He may still be upset that Johnny Gomes was ejected and that Uehara. Ty immediately pointed towards second. So,
well, but he's pointing at Cespedes because Ty is not looking.
Second.
Yeah.
But
well, you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Ty
was
not looking at the ball. He was looking at Cespedes.
Right. But it hit something because. Ty is well beyond. He's telling him, I think he's telling there, go to second. He's pointing because he said, you're okay. But, go to second. And he's telling him to go in before the umpires did. But there is something that it was hit. We didn't have a shot, but something was hit. And the ball hit something that would indicate that it's out of play. And an error on the shortstop. So it should have been a hit and an error.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Reddick fouls it, rolls back behind home plate. So 0-1 the count. Reddick has struck out 3 times. Swing and a miss, and now it's 0-2.
And the uppercut swing looks like he's trying to drive the ball to drive in the run instead of maybe rolling over and hitting the ball to the right side to advance Cespedes.
Fastball is outside already.
And an interesting thing about Cespedes at second, nobody's even close to him at second. Nobody's trying to hold him close. Iglesias on the outfield grass, Pedroia on the outfield grass, and Cespedes tremendous speed. And even the third baseman holds off the line.
And Reddick swings and misses. So that's out number
1. That splitter that he throws. And
so here's Fryman. He'll try to win it with a base hit.
Number 7, Nate Fryman.
Let's see now. Cespedes tries to get the third on his own. He has the lightning speed, and George is going to try to hold him close because I figure Fryman's going to pull the ball, so he can afford to do that.
Fryman with a bloop single in the 8th inning. That's when he was pinch hitting for Moss. Strike in the outside corner.
Well, against the retiring Mariano Rivera. Cut fastball, broken bat, shattered bat, base hit left field, game winner. It's John Jaso. A walk-off, his first. They shattered his jersey.
Cespedes runs. Throw to third is in time, and he's out. 2 outs.
He did not have the big lead, and that's what helped LaVarnway get rid of the ball quickly and got behind Nate Fryman, made the good play to clear himself out of the way of Nate, and a perfect throw to third. He needed a bigger jump if he's going to steal at that point, and unfortunately Pedroia was holding him close, or at least trying to keep him close, and kept him close enough.
So now the count 0-2. Second inning of work for Koji Uehara, the closer for the Red Sox. Fryman hanging in there. Comes into the manager's mind a little bit where you have a all-star break, 4 games coming up. Can probably use a pitcher a little bit longer than you normally would. And that may be the case with Uhara. Who knows? He may stay out there as good as he's been if the game goes.
Yeah, he's been so good for John Farrell that maybe he just figures he's going to shut down the A's and give his club a chance to come back, and he could always send him out, or Andrew Bailey, or something.
Shortstop Iglesias charges on the run, side retired. So the A's had the winning run at second base and nobody out, and they do not score. 2-2 game as we head to the 11th.
This Tuesday, that will be 2 days from now when the American National League teams gather at Citi Field in New York for the Midsummer Classic. It will be in New York, and Bartolo Colon will go as the A's representative. He will not play. Here's the overthrow by Iglesias, and it went into the camera well, right in between the 2 padded walls, and then hit the chair, but that would be out of play.
So it rolled right through there.
Right through there.
There's chairs sitting there. And I guess if it goes anywhere past there, it's out of play and you get the extra base. Pedroia skies one to left center. And Coco had it all the way, and that's out number 1. So it's interesting that there's chairs just sitting right there.
But the 2 padded areas, probably they'd run a straight line across. So if it goes in between the padded areas, so here and there, so anything in between there, it'd be like an opening into a dugout, probably. If it hit the pad here or there, it's going to be in play. But that in between area, and I guess you could say those photographers have to get inside there somehow without jumping over the fence. So the second lefty for the Red Sox is loosening up. That would be Mr. Thornton, who was acquired by the Red Sox from the Pale Holes.
2-0 to David Ortiz, who is 0 for 4. 1 for 12 in the series. And now 3-0.
And he will be swinging. So Pedroia tried to hit a home run. David Ortiz will probably be doing the same thing on a 3-0 if it's anywhere close.
And he lays off, and it's outside, so a 1-out walk. Now you have that decision if you're John Farrell. Do you take your cleanup hitter out for a pinch runner? Who knows how long the game's going to go on?
Bradley, the young man we saw Friday night, was sent out as they brought up a pitcher. to replace him. That is Matt Thornton, the lefty.
So as of now, he's going to leave him in there. You know, maybe if he were to get to second base, that's possible. Here's Napoli, his first at bat, and he swings and misses. Napoli into the Johnny Gomes spot. Gomes was thrown out of the game in the 9th inning after striking out. Close pitch, just a touch outside. Mike Karp, the left-handed hitter, is in the on-deck circle.
That's amazing. Tommy Cam wouldn't even show where John Jaso caught.
Napoli waves at a pitch that was about 2 to 3 feet out of the strike zone.
Fortunately, John Jaso caught it because this was a hitter-looking fastball, got a slider, and he had committed a fastball and no chance to hold up. Jaso had to backhand the ball to catch him.
Napoli got a little better pitch to hit in there, and he fouled it back.
You're a power hitter and you hang a slider like that.
Don't do it again.
No, you're fortunate that you can get to make another pitch to him. This is right in the middle of the plate, almost the one that Pedroia hit to left field on Friday night for a 2-run single. I should say, fortunately, Napoli has the uppercut swing.
Strike 3 call, a little delayed call by Todd Tishner. And that's out number 2.
That's a backup slider. And John Jaso, it's important for the catcher to keep it in the strike zone, and Jaso did. And I guess it's good enough for the umpire who's looking right on the inside part of the plate. Hitter sees the spin, expects to break away, did not. Goes back to the dugout.
Here's Karp. Fastball is outside. Karp is 1 for 4 with a double and a run score. He's lined out twice and struck out. Outside corner strike, 1-1. Mariners beat the Angels 4-3.
You don't even want to say anything about any pitches anymore. So it's just
not quite sure where it's going.
Not sure at all where the strike zone is today.
So everything is final in the American League except our game here. The Rangers and the Angels both losing.
Except for the night game, the National League's the same way.
Yep.
Looks like.
2-1 now, make it 3-1 to Karp. That's Lavarnway, the catcher in the on-deck circle. Strike on the outside corner. So 3-2, Ortiz will be able to take off.
Just nailed the outside corner, and I guess those other pitches are low because that's the same location width-wise. He's going to stay on the bag. He's going to start backing up now.
And a fastball is outside. It Cook walks Karp to put the go-ahead run at second base with 2 outs. And now you will get the pinch runner. Brandon Snyder.
Your attention please for Boston, number 23, Brandon Snyder, running for David Ortiz. Now batting, number 20.
So Snyder pinch runs. Lavarnway will hit. So the Red Sox still have Victorino and Saltalamacchia, a couple of switch hitters on their bench. But John Farrell's not going to use one here. Barnway is 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts and a couple of groundouts. Oh, and that hit him. A slider that just went right at him. So now the bases are loaded, and Brock Holt, the switch hitter, is going to hit.
Wow, because same thing happened Friday night when Victorino got hit, and this is the guy you wanted to face because LaVarnway's not had a lot of at-bats. Kurt Young's going to visit with his right-hander, but the ball just slided in. Like Ryan Cook looked at his hand after it happened, slipped out of his hand. Something happened.
So the meeting is over. So the bases are loaded by 2 walks and a hit batter here in the top of the 11th inning.
How about that rally, huh?
So now you have to throw strikes. Holt is the hitter, and he's 1 for 4. First pitch is a strike. 3 for 10 in the series is Holt with 3 RBIs. Snyder at third, Karp at second, LaVarnway at first. Swing and a miss, and now it's 0-2.
Elevated fastball, and he got it. Remember Friday night, he hit the low and away fastball for the base hit to left field. So at least, whether intentional or not, he elevated the ball.
And another high fastball, and Holt fights this one off. Strike 3 call. Cook gets out of it, and the Red Sox leave them loaded in the top of the 11th inning. Bottom of the 11th coming up. Tied at 2.
By himself, couple of walks, a hit batter, but pulled the string. Cambio, the old changeup, and boy, what a great pitch! He pulled the string and just froze Holt right there on the corner, and he could not pull the string because he was not expecting it. That was a great pitch by Ryan Cook, and he came off, pumped, As we saw him in the last couple of games of the season last year when he pitched on consecutive days, longer than he ever pitched. And slider that was left in, hit LeVarn Way, loaded the bases, 2 walks and a hit batter, but he got out of it. And now the A's no longer will see Uehara.
So here's Matt Thornton, his first appearance as a Red Sox. Red Sox acquired him on Friday from the White Sox. And he's going to face a pinch hitter, Chris Young. So Thornton's first pitch to Young is outside.
It was?
Oh yeah, way outside. Inside, and it's 2-0.
Almost hit him. That would have hit him. That would have hurt. Thornton throws hard. Always has.
Sogard will be next, and then the top of the order, Coco Crisp. Jumping in there for a strike, 94 miles an hour.
Yeah, Cap, that's an easy 94 too. Yeah, that's just a very easy delivery.
And now 2-2. Kind of a slow windup. It's really not a max delivery, but he does throw hard. And now a full count.
That can sit hitter. Throws that 2-2 and misses. He's got to come back with an easy fastball. It's just a question whether it's inside or outside, and probably inside since he likes to throw it inside.
Wow. Not close, and it's a leadoff walk for the A's here in the bottom of the 11th.
That's why the 2-2. You throw a breaking ball 2-2. You're just telling the world you got to throw a fastball 3-2, and it's not even close. But 2-2 is a critical pitch. He didn't make it, and now Sogard. The A's long reliever Jesse Chavez is looking up. Remember the 5 2/3 against the Yankees in that long game we don't even want to discuss and think about. So maybe the A's can get it done in this inning.
Sogard is 0 for 3. Holt, the third baseman, comes in. Sogard to bunt. Pitches outside. Thornton has been a good reliever for a long time, but he has not always pitched well against the Athletics. Sogard bunts it toward first, and Napoli, boy, he thought about going to second, and he was ready to gun it to second. It would have been a very close play. He played it safe, got Sogard at first. So sacrifice puts the winning run at second base with 1 out.
Well, Sogard did exactly what you want to see a hitter do on a sacrifice. He turned around and said, I'm going to bunt. And it would have been a very close play, probably the wrong play, with Chris Young getting a good jump off first. But he was tempted. Napoli was, and then a quick throw to Pedroia at first to get the out. So the A's a couple of opportunities. The runner in score position to plate the go-ahead run.
So Coco will try to win it with a hit. First pitch is bounced to third, and a nice play by Holt as he charged. Throws high, and Napoli got his foot down right before Coco got there. So that's out number 2 with Young staying at second base.
Eric Norris is going to pinch hit for John Jaso, lefty, and Coco almost beat it out. And with Holt charging the ball, and just almost, wow, how would that have been? Throw it down the right field line. Nice play by Napoli, using the bag to jump because Holt did not. Just barely got his foot down before Coco got there. But he had a lot of time, just got under it.
So here's Norris. He'll have a shot. certainly, if you're Thornton, you have in this case a couple bases open, but you got Donaldson in the on-deck circle, and that's the guy you probably don't want to mess with if you're the Red Sox. So Norris should get something to hit.
You're right, because it's 3 lefties to follow.
Yep.
Lowry and then Cespedes, if they got that far.
First pitch poured in there for a strike, 94 miles an hour. One to Norris. Young is the winning run at second base.
Well, the good thing about that, with 2 outs, he can run on contact, not being held at second. Infield is holding the position, but anytime a runner at second has the ability to go on contact with 2 outs, he does not have to worry about a ball being hit in the air, line drive, being doubled off.
Double look by Thornton, and the pitch is way outside. So 2-1. Norris pinch hitting for Jaso. Outfield steps in a couple of steps, and that one fouled off the facing of the second level, bounces down stairs. Young not being held. And the 2-2 pitch is a fastball a bit high, and now it's a full count.
Unlike the 3-2 pitch, Chris Young leading off, at least he has the flexibility if he wants to go something other than a fastball, knowing that first base is open, and take a chance with Donaldson with the clean count. But Norris just wants to barrel the baseball, see if he can do it.
3-2 pitch missed inside, and it's going to be Donaldson's turn to try to win it.
A nice call by Lavarnway to try to get Norris to swing at a bad pitch, but Derek Norris very patient.
Now batting, third baseman, number 20, Josh Donaldson.
So Donaldson, who tied the game in the 7th with a 2-run homer.
Lavarnway giving all these signs, but it's all about, boy, he's giving more signs. Looks like the infielders were shaking him off, like the pitcher. But infielders aren't going to hold the base runners. I guess if both runners take off, he's probably giving a sign to throw to second. He's hopeful they can celebrate a walk-off. That's what they do. Get on the top step in extra innings or out of the inning.
Donaldson takes low. So a couple of walks here for the A's in the bottom of the 11th. Donaldson, a little flare to right, and that's going to fall, and the A's are going to win the game. Donaldson finishes the first half, and he should be the hero. A bloop single, and it turns out a 3-2 A's win in 11 innings.
Josh Donaldson, a home run to left center, and this is even better because it was a bloop nobody could get to in right field. So he tied it with a 2-run home run in the 7th. He wins it when he gets a little bit of a soft lob into right field, and with 2 outs, Chris Young did not have to wait. All he had to do was take off running, and the quick throw by Nava, no chance. The bench gets to celebrate, and they do it with a walk-off by Josh Donaldson. Well, that young man, maybe his first game with his dad. Dad said, "You seen a walk-off?" He just saw one. And so Josh Donaldson, we'll see if he gets one of the fabulous pies as a walk-off hero. We don't know, but glad he did it.
So Donaldson with all 3 RBIs today, and the A's finished the first half of the season 56-39, and they're going to finish it with a 2-game lead in the AL West over the Texas Rangers. So congratulations to Josh Donaldson and the rest of the Athletics for what was really a terrific first half. They played great. One little hiccup earlier in the year, but really that was about it. So should not be surprised that Josh Donaldson finished the first half as the hero on the walk-off win. Josh, we appreciate you stopping by. Let's get right to that last at-bat. Thornton, a hard thrower. You're trying to win the game. So tell us about the game plan going against Thornton with the game on the line.
Yeah, I mean, obviously throughout the inning, he wasn't really throwing the curveball for strikes, so I was trying to get a fastball I could drive. But, you know, it kind of cut on me. He got on the hands a little bit, and, you know, I was able to dork one in there for a winning.
Well, you didn't dork the one in the 7th inning when you crushed it to left center. But, you know, a couple of things. Number one, you removed your protection on your left leg. What was that about? And I think just as important, you had told me just recently that, look out, here it comes. So be careful. But it's worthy because you get it. You like those, don't you?
Let me make my flight.
Can you still hear us, Josh?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we'll make it quick for you.
Well, Josh Reddick said you made his flight just because you hit the home run. But and you tied it with the game winner with a bloop. But about the home run, you removed the protection on your left. You said you'd almost hit 4 of the home runs. You finally hit one. Talk about it. I mean, you finally got it.
Yeah, it was, you know, it's refreshing. This entire series, man, I feel like I've been swinging the bat pretty well. I just hadn't had much to show for it. And that's kind of not how it's been going for me this year. So far, it's been, you know, if I hit one good, it's been going in. But, you know, it's just, you just try to keep your approach, just try not to do too much. And, you know, I was able to get a couple big hits for us today.
Well, indeed. And, Josh, I just want you to know, up here in the booth, there's absolutely no question that you are an all-star. Unfortunately, you're not going to go. I know there's some disappointment, but you have to be awfully, awfully pleased with the way you played the first half of this season.
Yeah, I'm just grateful to be here, man, and be on a winning team and just continue to do this and hopefully have a strong second half.
And you're speaking of the second half. You guys finished with a 2-game lead thanks to your heroics today because the Rangers had already lost to the Tigers. What are your thoughts about having 4 days off and resuming having the 4 days off, but getting a chance to be much different to where you were last year at this time when you're so far behind with a great second half? What do you see in the second half for the club that you're playing on now?
Yeah, I mean, we control our own destiny from here on out. And, you know, that's how you want it at any time. And, you know, just kind of going out there and, you know, continue to compete the way we have and, you know, continuing to put things together. And, you know, it's been fun. Just trying to go out here and compete and win games, man.
Well, Josh, congratulations on a great first half, and we think it's going to be even better in the second half.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Josh Donaldson, the hero today and really the MVP of the first half as far as offensive players go. And, Ray, we mentioned it during the telecast. Last year at the All-Star break, the A's were at 500. Right. This year, they're 17 games over 500. It's as much fun as last year was. It's really an even better team this year, I think, because they're so confident.
Well, the McDonald's walk-off at day before the All-Star break against King Felix and actually the Mariners. Josh Reddick won that game in the throwback uniforms. That was right before the break, and the A's had a tremendous second half of the season. But I agree with you because where they were last year at this time and where they are, and Josh said it best, they're 2 games ahead. They're playing great baseball. Today, a perfect example. Workman gave nothing to the A's for 6 innings until an infield hit and a 2-run home run. He's out of the game. The A's won it in walk-off fashion. So a great way to finish the traditional first half. But looking forward to get through 4 days, and that's a long time to have 4 days off. But I think the players will be able to enjoy it and be able to start on Friday against the Angels down in Anaheim.
And it's only fitting that Josh Donaldson the hero today. He finishes with 3 RBIs. He finishes the first half with 16 home runs and 61 RBIs. He should be in New York on Tuesday. He won't be, but he's an all-star in our mind, no question about it. So great way to end the first half. Another walk-off win for the Athletics as they defeat the Boston Red Sox 3-2 in 11 innings, and that is the game winner, a blooper to right by Donaldson. That would score Chris Young. So again, the A's finished the first half 56-39 and have a 2-game lead in the AL West. We'll be back with you on Friday from Anaheim. You've been watching A's Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California. Don't go away. A's Postgame Live with Brody Brazil and Bip Roberts starts right now.